couple of jazz machines. I got my Panasonic. Panasonic 3700 and a DA88, which I mean the ADAT with, and I wish I'd got a DA88. I have some keyboard stuff over here. This Roland 8800 is a nice gizmo. I like it because it's got an opera up front, just like the old-fashioned ones. I got an S1000 sampler, a couple of sound-making boxes here. I've got my old analog shit that I love. Overhead expander, and this is one of my favorite things here. This is my Surge, of which I actually, just for fun, one of my kind of hobby projects that I did last year was I built a couple of oscillators myself. I still buy these little Curtis oscillator chips, and with some help from my friend Scott Morgan, who knows a lot more about that kind of stuff than I do. Actually, built a little board and made a little PC board and wired it all up and figured out the design and made 2 more analog oscillators to go with this thing. And the old Electrocomp, which Tommy loves. Tommy Loftus, poor Tommy Mars. This is used all the time back when I was in the band. Sort of classic French horn sound. Tommy's classic brass sound back then. And Tommy took his into a shop years ago to be repaired, and the guy took it all apart into a million parts, and then somehow went bankrupt or something. And the police came and took all the stuff, and it was and he came and it was just like this pile of parts. It was destroyed. It turned to dust. And he was, with that as an Electrocomp. So whenever he comes over, he plays this. He's still got his polybox, and I got that out there. So he's got the polybox, and I got the Electrocomp. They go together. You can't use a polybox without that. So, I got a drum machine and some effects boxes, Lexicon, some compressors and gates and stuff.
Do you compose with
computer? I have, right now I'm just still using my little Atari notator. I think I'm about to get a new computer. It's going to be out of my mind exactly what to get. But this thing, it works pretty good, actually. And,
what kind of program do you have?
It's called Notator. It's pretty nifty. You can print out stuff that looks pretty good.
Do you have this music in hard disk as well? Could you play it to me? This one.
Yeah, I have a rough mix of it on that. Yeah. But if you can go to the trouble to put all your dynamics and all that shit, it looks pretty good. For a little cheap toy computer.
Yeah. Yes, it's okay. Okay, could you play some music? I would like to hear.
Sure. Hey, can I get you? Are you getting thirsty? Can I get you guys anything?
Versus do the video.
I've heard, yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to get this on tape as well. I mean, the band from Utopia thing.
Yeah.
Because it's relevant.
Okay, well, hang on one second. Let me go there.
When was the last time you saw Frank?
The last time I saw Frank was, I don't remember the date, but it was maybe a couple of months after I first heard that he got sick. So maybe it was a year or so before he died, something like that, year and a half. I went up to his house, and he seemed pretty sad. He seemed fairly down, and I tried to ask him a little bit about, I said, what's this, I heard that, I tried to ask him a little bit about his illness, and he said he didn't want to talk about it, and he said, it's not really my favorite subject. And so, he kind of just showed me a few things in the synclavier and played me a few things he was working on, and that's when I played him some of my stuff. It was before I came out with, before I came out with Music for Listening, and it must have been. And played him maybe one or two things off that, and he was real encouraging. And it was nice. I got to hang out with him, just me and him. We hung out for about 3 or 4 hours. And didn't really talk all that much, and just listened to a lot of music. And I felt like that maybe I cheered him up a little bit. He seemed a little happier when I left than when I got there.
Did you like his Sinclair composition?
Some of them I like a lot. I think there's some of the stuff on Civilization Phase 3 is really brilliant, and I think it might take. Well, I don't know all. It's all kind of cut together, so I don't know all the names of the individual stuff. But I like towards the end. I really like a lot the thing he did with the tube and throat singers. That's killer. That's beautiful, and a number of things on there. I think that's the type of thing that I haven't heard too many people talk about it actually a lot, fans and whatnot, because I think it's a little bit overwhelming. I think it's a little bit mind-boggling. It's really hard to listen to the whole thing all the way through. I listened to like a few minutes, maybe 10 or 15 minutes of Civilization, and I generally kind of like to stop for a second, like kind of catch my breath, and maybe listen to some more because it's so dense. But I think it's something that maybe 20 years from now people will actually begin to appreciate the depth of it.
Do you think so? How about, do you think his Sinclair things have influenced you in a way? I mean, you use also machine.
Yeah, I do. I see that kind of more as a parallel thing. I mean, I think I think it's a thing that an awful lot of people, are doing. It's such a great tool. It's so great to be able to do that kind of thing with.
But you do more like Stravinsky and things, and Frank is maybe more like an academic American composer like Milton Babbitt or Elliot Carter. Do you think so?
No. Frank is not that formalized like somebody like Milton Babbitt or Elliot Carter. Frank is more just kind of doing it by ear, I think, and by intuition and gut feeling, and just what he feels like doing at that moment. He's somebody like Elliot Carter, we talked about earlier, they're heavy formalism, they're mathematical formulas and stuff. I mean, he might, he'll write some weird rhythm, but I don't think Frank was sitting there with some master equation that spun out Civilization Phase 3. It's just him going, oh, I like that, oh, I like that, oh, stick that together, oh, slow that down, turn that around backwards, yeah, that's cool, now this, now that, just, going nuts, oh, I got all these sounds, oh, I can do this, oh, it'd be great if I did that, oh, what if I do that, oh, that's cool, oh, turn it up, It's,
what's your working method?
I'm more like that, it varies, it varies sometimes. Sometimes I'll write a melody first, and then like this, I think I wrote the melody on this thing I'm calling Neptune Variations right now. I wrote a melody, and I've written some chords to go with it. And sorry, then also I wrote a melody first, and kind of developed it from there. Or sometimes I'll like improvise something like the impromptu pieces that I've done on my albums are based on improvisations. I'll improvise something into the computer. Pretty much the whole, almost the entire piece, and then I'll go back and like spend months organizing it and orchestrating it, and fixing things here and there. It varies. Sometimes that I'm working on that thing out there that I'm writing on the organ. Sometimes it's nice to write that way because you can play bass notes with your beat on the pedals and play chords with your left hand and come up with melodies with your right hand, and so you can get a sort of the more voices you can manage to play at the same time, the better it is for me for writing.
Okay. Short break. Could you repeat them?
Oh, they're awful. Musicians' jokes. Oh, everybody's heard those. I was just saying how ironic it was that Bruce Fowler, my good friend and hero Bruce Fowler, is one of the most successful musicians I know. I was just commenting on the irony of the trombone player jokes about trombone players being out of work, like, what's the difference between a dead trombone player on the road and a dead snake on the road? The snake is on its way to a gig. What's the definition of an optimist trombone player with a beeper? Yeah, I love musicians' jokes. You know the one, how can you tell if there's, how can you tell if there's...
There are so many bass players jokes around.
Yeah, those are no good. Now, how can you? How can you see? How can you tell if there's a drummer knocking at your door? The knocking speeds up. How can you tell if there's a guitar player knocking at your door? The knocking never stops.